Shohei Ohtani's interpreter,
You don't need to
Ipe
pronounce his name. It's just his
Muzahara,
name. It's just his, yeah. It's just his
Muzahara
interpreter. We'll call him. Okay.
is under investigation for allegedly stealing money from Shohei Ohtani to pay off $4.5 million in gambling debts to
Well, he's not only under investigation, he has been fired as Shohei Ohtani's interpreter as of this evening. This
by the
news was
Dodgers.
breaking
Yes.
by the Dodgers. Yes, he was Shohei's interpreter from the beginning in with the Angels, and the Dodgers hired him on as well when they signed Shohei to be a Dodger. His interpreter has been his closest friend since his time in the United States. They basically spend every waking moment together. This is a strange story that literally happened maybe an hour before we started recording here tonight. So there's a lot going on with this story that doesn't really make sense. And there's going to be a lot more to come out, I believe. Probably maybe more has come out while we were recording this. I think this has potential to be one of the biggest stories in baseball, when the biggest name, the face of baseball, the biggest contract in the history of Major League Baseball is so closely tied with gambling. It is hard to know what Shohei Ohtani's involvement is, because there's been a couple of different stories that have come out, and this is what's very concerning. Is at first Shohei's was his camp was basically doing an interview with ESPN to address the investigation that had been that where his name came up. And what the story was at that point is that Shohei had given his interpreter stints of $500,000 to cover his gambling debts. Apparently, that happened 9 different times to total $4.5 million. That story was supposed to come out on ESPN today. This is Wednesday, but late this afternoon, the attorneys for Shohei Ohtani announced that he was a victim of massive theft from this interpreter. So suddenly the story has shifted, and the Dodgers immediately fired the interpreter, and there's going to be a lot of fallout from that. This is a federal investigation, is where this information first came from. So Shohei's name came up, and the first story is that he was just covering somebody else's debt, and now it's a theft, an immense betrayal by Shohei's best friend. We'll see where this goes, but I'm fascinated by it. I kind of don't know how to digest it all, having only seen it an hour before we started recording.
I'm gonna tell you
We're
what
going
I
to see a
think
lot more
happened.
about it.
I'll tell you what I think happened.
All right.
Shohei Ohtani knowingly gave the interpreter the money. Then Shohei Ohtani's camp got involved and was like, you can't be there saying you gave. It's one thing to cover a gambling debt with a legitimate source, but he's covering a gambling debt with a bookie. So he's not even doing it through legitimate means.
Right.
And now they're calling it like, you know, massive theft could also be, I know, is it going to be considered extortion? Because it sounds to me, as you told the story, because you told me this part of the story right before we went on tonight, that he willingly gave him the money. The guy was like,
It was wired directly from Shohei's accounts to
yeah,
this bookmaker.
there you
So,
go.
I mean, that's as close a tie as you can get. So if they're saying that it was stolen from them, it was this interpreter got control of the accounts and was sending this guy money. We'll see. We'll see how that plays out. But I don't know. The main part of this is, you and I were used to sports gambling as being legalized now. It
I
is
love
not
it.
legal yet in the state of it is not legal yet in the state of California. That's why there is a federal investigation into this. It is also severely frowned upon in Major League Baseball. Any ties to gambling,
See Steve Rose.
as we
See Steve Pete Rose for that.
yeah, I mean, it's obvious the connections. We'll see the 1919 Black Sox as well. I mean, this is a history of trying to stay as far the fuck away from gambling as possible. And right now, the face of baseball couldn't be more tied with gambling than he is right now. So, boy, Shohei's got going to have a lot of interesting comments to make when he gets back to the United States after the stint in Korea. He doesn't have an interpreter to do it for him. So this is gonna be a rough little time for the new Dodger.
Yeah. My only question is, was his bookie Bruno Mars?
Mm, I don't get the
Oh,
reference.
you don't know it. So Bruno Mars, a story broke that he was into MGM for $50 million in gambling debt earlier this week. So, well, my big joke did not roll over well here. Sports radio
Yeah.
boy doesn't look at everything outside of sports radio over there. He's in a dungeon
Sorry, I'm not
listening
at a
to
con.
sports radio all the time.
Sorry, I'm not at a concert every fucking night as a
Well, that's right.
middle aged man.
That's right. Sprints last night, everyone, and La Rosa de Noir. Incredible. Anyway,
I have no idea what you just said, but
I know. So I think the biggest part of this investigation, and it'll be interesting to see how MLB handles this. Is I mean, sure it was if Otani, if it comes out that Otani's interpreter did not have access to his accounts, and Otani gave him the money, was he placing bets for Otani?
I mean that's the obvious inference of wrongdoing. Seems incredibly reckless, incredibly ill conceived. I'd be shocked if that's the full story. That would be a horrendous. So that would be horrendous for the game of baseball. I really hope that is not the case. I mean, what do you do there? I don't know. Let's not get too far. We're only like 2 hours into the story breaking, so there's a lot to be heard. We will probably have a lot to talk about with that next week on our Dumbass prediction show that might have to veer into gambling territory. It might be the biggest story in all of sports. So
One of us is going to predict Shohei Ohtani's Major League Baseball career is over.
yeah, well, I predicted him to be the AL MVP, which came to fruition. So yeah, let's hopefully we're not predicting things like that for Shohei. Who seems to be the most likable guy, but maybe he's just
Yeah,
a degenerate gambler all along. And now he's just throwing his interpreter under the bus.
who knew?
You might call him a decoy, as he named his dog, I believe, Decoy.
Well, there you go. It's all coming together.
Word Hole Media.